What's up, Warriors? Guy Beveridge with Protectors Toolkit, Church Safety and Security Made Simple. Tonight, I'm coming to you from a new platform. You won't see it. It should be seamless out there. I'm coming to you from Zoom, but I'm broadcasting to Facebook Live. This is so I can share some documents with you, and you can see them on your screen while I'm sharing them here in my office. I think it's vitally important as we talk about record keeping and also checklists for the church safety and security provider. So I want to do some housekeeping as we get started here and wait for some people to show up. I call you all warriors because that's what we are. We are warriors in what we do as a church protector, a church safety and security team member. You are a warrior. You know how I know this? Because it tells us in Exodus this right here, right early on in the Bible. It says the Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. And I know that I am made in the image of the Lord. He tells me that also in the Bible. So you are warriors. When you're at your church protecting and making sure there's a safe and secure worship environment for those people that you're protecting, you are a warrior. And you're no different than Nehemiah, working on the wall with a sword in one hand and working with the other. So welcome, warriors. Welcome to this edition of Warrior Wednesdays. I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you're joining us. I'm going to be talking tonight about the importance of record keeping in churches and also checklists for the church protector. Now, you may be thinking, Guy, we really just show up at our church and watch the doors and we carry guns and that's what we do. Well, I'm going to just tell you, as we get deeper into this and as we have more and more events at churches, we're going to be required to become more formalized. I can just tell you, it's no longer just going to be enough to have a couple people meandering around with guns on, and that's our security. We're going to have to be more formalized than that, and that's what we do in Protectors Toolkit. We take you from good to great in church safety and security, and we do it simply for you, all online. Now, I do have some out in the neighborhood classes that I teach. I teach a firearms class, and I teach different de-escalation trainings and stuff like that. But by and large, I want you to get and consume the information in a way that's easy for you, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be. It'll be on your Facebook. You can consume some of the content through your computer or through your phone. We want to make it safe and simple for you to do that. So tonight, let's get into this. Let's talk about safety and security and then record keeping for our churches and why do we have checklists for our churches. I want to start off really quickly with 1 Timothy. In 1 Timothy, it tells us this, or 2 Timothy 3:17 says, the man of God may be competent and equipped for every good work. And isn't that what we really need to be doing in church safety and security, that we are equipped for every good work? And record keeping and checklists are no different than making sure we can engage with an enemy from a long distance with a pistol, or that we have sight on through cameras on an enemy. We're making sure that we're equipped for the work that we're about to do in our churches. So in that, you may be thinking, why do we need record keeping? And then more importantly, why do we need checklists? And I'm going to cover that tonight. Matter of fact, at the end of this, I'm going to give you 7 important tips for record keeping and checklists and why they're important in your business. So stick with us throughout all of this. I'll tell you really why we do record keeping is this. Slips, trips, and falls are the cause of 15% of accidents all over the United States. They're only second behind traffic accidents, if you can believe that. Now, thinking about that, that's why we do record keeping, because if we have an incident, we have incident reports at our church, we can have record keeping for that. If you've ever been involved in litigation before, you know how long it takes for things to go to court. Is your mind going to be fresh enough when you go to court 2 years after an incident to remember everything on that day that happened? Probably not. That's why we have incident reports at our churches. Heaven forbid we get into a lawsuit situation, but if we do, we want to be as prepared as possible, because that also lowers the risk of our church, making sure we're prepared in this. Over 1 million Americans suffer a slip, trip, and fall injury every year. And then think about this, protectors. I want you to really think long and hard about this. So the 3 major insurance carriers for church, Guide One, Church Mutual, and Brotherhood Mutual, on an average, every year, they take in 110 reports and cases and payouts for sexual assaults and injuries to children in churches. So again, record keeping is vitally important for us, and that's why we do it. We want to make sure we have the records on the day and the event that it happened, who was there and what happened. We get the who, what, where, when, why, and how, all recorded down. So if this ever does go to litigation, our insurance company would definitely love that. And even more importantly, maybe our attorney for our church would like to have record keeping. The importance of record keeping for us, data collection helps identify problem areas. So if you're doing good record keeping, incident reports at your church of things that happen, that data you should be taking in and compiling and then looking at hot spots around your church. And that should help you with your staffing to know where things are going on and where they have happened. And as you do this year after year, you'll get even more data sets in there that tell you, hey, for VBS, we're going to have at least 2 protectors on scene, or we're going to have a law enforcement personnel on scene because we have 350 kids showing up here that all may be unchurched or unsaved. So we want to make sure we're protecting them and providing them a safe and secure environment as well while they're at our church. We better determine our high risk areas by having data collection and record keeping. And this goes hand in hand with those incident reports. Now we know where the hotspots are. And so for our staffing, I know if I need 2 people over here, I just need 1 person over here, or that back door is a real tricky area. We have problems back there with people trying to access the church. I'm going to station someone back there. The other thing is you're going to become a lot more educated about your church when you have record keeping. When you do good, effective record keeping, you're going to be more educated about your church. You're going to know more about it, the ins and outs of it. And that, again, will lead you down a path of lowering risk within your church, because that's what we're really all about. Good record keeping helps you measure the effectiveness of your program. That's very critical for us. We always want to be effective in everything we do. We have to remember that we will have some high risk areas, and record keeping and incident reports and all that will help us with that. But some of the records that I'm going to show you tonight, and some of the checklists I'm going to show you tonight from the membership site, will also help you lower risk by identifying things like high value items within the church. They'll help you go through checklists such as our fire safety plan and the things we need to be checking for that to make sure we're compliant with everything as far as life safety goes within our church. And then last but not least, we shouldn't have to do this, but a lot of times we do. It helps us to justify, when we have good record keeping, it helps us to justify why we have a team and why we need radios and why we need specialty equipment and why we need to maybe incentivize our team. Because we don't produce the product. That's what you have to understand in church safety and security. You don't produce the product. The product is the pastor up there. The product is the church. The product is the counseling. The product is everything else that the church does. We're not a producer of that product. So we have to ensure that we're not justifying ourselves, but making sure that it's known that we do act and we do take action, and it is a necessity that we are on site. And it also helps, with good customer service, because when we can go back to report after report after report where we did the right thing and we took in all the data, it really drives towards good customer service. And that's what we really need to be doing in our churches. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we're going over the importance of record keeping and checklists for church safety and security protectors and why it's so vital. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here on Warrior Wednesdays. I absolutely love doing these. I get a good feeling in my heart from these. I want to give a special shout out at this point to Flanagan's Texas Distillery and Winery in Bertram, Texas. They produced this bottle of hand sanitizer. They quickly realized that there was a need for law enforcement and first responders to have hand sanitizer out there, and this is 80% right here. And I'm going to add that to some oil. I'm going to mix that up, and I'll have some more hand sanitizer in the vehicle for me. So I really want to say thank you to Flanagan's for providing that to us. So let's get back into this. Some of the other things for record keeping, what it will help you do is set goals. If you want to know where you're going within your church safety and security team, good record keeping, good incident reports will tell you where we need to go. Do we need to add more people? Do we need to add more equipment? Do we need to have more coverage? Do we need to add more cameras? That will help you set your goals and establish those goals for you. And then from there, to help you measure your progress as well. Are we having a lower incident rate? Are we writing fewer and fewer of these incident reports? It'll help us understand that as well. We'll pinpoint our areas needing attention, just like I said earlier. And also what it'll do is it'll highlight our successes. If we are lowering our risk by having less and less incidences because we have the right personnel and the right equipment in the right place at the right time, then we are lowering the risk of the church. And again, it drives towards making sure the church understands that we are a real necessity within the church. So it highlights our successes as well. And isn't that always a good thing to share with your team, the successes you guys have, that you gals have out there in your church, in your individual churches? Some of the benefits also with record keeping, how about training records? We should be doing trainings. Look, if you're going to go from good to great in church safety and security, if you're going to stop being subjective, meaning we're just going to act whenever something comes up, and we're going to be now objective, where we have plans, policies, and procedures in place, we're going to have qualified quality training for those plans, policies, and procedures. We're going to have qualified quality people come in and train us, and we're going to keep training records of all of that. I heard recently from a church, Crossroads Church in Austin, Texas, they did some first aid training, and they definitely want to keep a record of that. If they did it through the American Red Cross, that's good for 2 years. But how do we know when 2 years expires if we don't keep records and have someone in charge of those records? It's great to have first aid training, but we want to make sure we're up to date with the latest in the training as well. So we stay up and maintain our records that way. It easily identifies who's been trained and who hasn't been trained. It easily identifies who has the experience necessary. So when you're doing shift assignments, you'll definitely want to know who has training, look through the training documentation, and you can make appropriate judgment on training. It may be even meaning someone moves from parking lot duty to an armed protector because they have the right necessary training as dictated by our plans, policies, and procedures. You could use a training documentation like this to create incentive programs within your church protector team. Now, I know this is a largely volunteer army, but if we're going to incentivize people, maybe the church uses a credit card, and on that credit card, they get points, rewards points. And with those rewards points, they can start buying some gift cards to different things. Once we get back out into the world, we can start using gift cards at different places. And wouldn't it be nice to incentivize people who have gone through all the training and been with us year after year and have proven they are part of the team for the long haul? Maybe it's nice to incentivize them that way. Hey, I'll just tell you, at our church, if we meet, we eat. So we incentivize them with food. That's what we do out here in Texas. We easily identify who has the specific skills, again, when we're trying to determine what assignments you're going to get and where you're going to work within the church. Again, those training documents, those records that we keep with that will all help with that. So let's get into checklists just a little bit. We're going to turn just a little bit on this and talk about checklists, why the importance of checklists. Checklists really help us determine where we're going to go and make sure that we're doing everything correctly, and it doesn't let us miss any steps. A checklist for us, we use them here in Protectors Toolkit all the time. We have Trello. Trello is something I would encourage you for your teams. If you have different tasks within your church, if you're a large or medium-sized church and you have different tasks that need to be taken care of every week, I would look into Trello. Trello is a free app that we use, and that's how we make sure everything in Protectors Toolkit gets done in a timely manner. Now, I would just tell you, for the people out there watching from Protectors Toolkit, I know I don't watch Trello all the time. I'm going to work on that for you. Well, it allows us to focus and stay on track, make sure we're tracking deadlines and make sure we're setting deadlines for others. And it helps us with follow-up for people too that we assign. So let's talk about the 7 benefits of using a checklist. But first, before I do that, let me show you real quick. I'm going to show you my screen. I'm going to share with you from here how we're going to, some of the checklists that we have within Protectors Toolkit. And I'll just pull this up real quick. And what you would do, let me share my screen with you. All right. So from here, what you can see is this is where you're the landing page of Protectors Toolkit. If you're in the membership site, this is what you're going to come to first. You'll see your dashboard, your courses, Q&As, the vault where we keep everything that doesn't fall under courses, and our Facebook community posts as well. But you're going to scroll down the forms and checklists. And from here, this is going to take you over to all the checklists that we have in forms. So no matter if I put them in a course somewhere else, they're going to also be available here for you. So they're easy to find area. So just looking here, one of the things I talked about early this morning in a post was making sure we're walking around our churches and checking for those church people out there that may, the criminal element that may be walking around our church as well and trying to break in, trying to get in somewhere. So we make sure we're looking at that. And I'm going to share this form with you. Boom, boom. And now what you can see is the church high dollar inventory. Again, this is a form that comes out if you're in the membership site. You'll list out your item description, what you have, where it is within your church, what category it mainly falls under, if you have a model and serial number, what date you purchased it, if you can remember that. Where you take it if you're not using it all the time, or wherever you store it. What condition is it in? Is it in new condition? Is it refurbished? And then you give a general price right here, what we bought it for. Get as close as possible. Do a Google search if you can, and put a price in there. If you have proof of purchase, you'll say that, and it'll be kept on record within the church. And estimated present value there, is it insured? And then any notes you want to put out here about that item. I recommend churches do that for all their high dollar items. And the reason why is we'll forget about these items. We'll get something in really quickly, like a projector or something for the worship team, and we'll put it into place right away, and we'll forget about it. Just set and forget. We won't ever take a picture of the model number. We won't ever take a picture of what it looks like. But if it ever gets stolen, we'll want the police to have all this information right here. You know, law enforcement nationwide will be able to get you the product back. If it's ever pawned, they'll be able to get it back to you right away. Or if it's ever recovered in a crime, they'll be able to get that back to you by having the serial number and model number and a brief description like that and who it goes to. They'll be able to get that back to you. So that's one of the forms in there. in the protector plan. And let's go into another one. We'll go into the church high dollar. Let's go into the facility. Let's see, corrective action plan. I'll do this one real quick. If we ever discover a deficiency within our fire exit signs or something like that, we'll have this form right here that we'll be able to use. It's whatever issue it is and what happened, because we have to follow up on these. So again, these are just some of the checklists you'll see in the membership site of Protectors Toolkit. So let me get back into this and let me cover the benefits now of having the checklist and what we can do. Number one, let's talk about motivation. Having checklists, the benefits of having a checklist, number one is motivation. Checklists motivate us. There's a chemical in our body that's produced when we check things off, when we get things done. It's called dopamine. Dopamine, though, comes with a warning. It's highly addictive. If you think about anybody that's a gambler or a smoker or anybody that has a cell phone, when you hear that little ding or that buzz on your cell phone, it gives you a shot of dopamine because you can open it, you can look at it. And when we accomplish something, it gives us dopamine. So just watch out for that, but it motivates us because it makes us feel good. When we get something done on our checklist, it makes us feel good, and we go about our day that way. After that, we want to look at creativity. Checklists allow us to master the repetitive task and utilize the brain power for other creative activities. So we master the task that we have through our checklist, and then we can use brain power for other creative thoughts. Now, some of you, the brain power that you have may be struggling, so you won't have as much power as others. Not you guys out in Protectors Toolkit land, but people that I know definitely struggle with that brain power thing. But you guys definitely have the creative juices to keep moving with that. Some of the other benefits of checklist, number 5 is delegation. By breaking down tasks into specific tasks, now we can give them out to people on our team that we want to either raise up or give them the opportunity to excel, or just something we need to take off of our plate so we can accomplish the things that are on our plate and give it off to somebody else. Checklists are great for delegation in that. Also, saving lives. Believe it or not, checklists can save lives. If you think about doctors or pilots, every day they use checklists. Before you go anywhere in the air, if you're on a commercial flight, not so much anymore, but if you ever get to be on a flight again, they're going to have a checklist that they go through. Everything that gets done through a checklist gets checked and rechecked, and we don't miss steps. That's why it's so important. Also with that, hand in hand, is we reproduce excellence by having a checklist. If we did something well the first time and we have a checklist for it the next time and the time after that and the time after that, we're going to keep reproducing good results. And what does that lead to for us? Good customer service. Now, I had someone call me out on this not too long ago about making it the Walmartization of church safety and security when I talk about good customer service. But I want you to think about this. If you're a protector of others, don't you want to give the best customer service possible? Because if you've ever gotten good customer service when you bought a product, you went and bought that product again, or at least shopped there again because of that good customer service. And the reason why is they made you feel good. In church safety and security, we better be making people feel good. So they come back and they keep buying our product over and over again. And then they will do the one thing that we want them to do in church especially is tell others about our product. We want them to go out there and tell others over and over again so that people keep coming back to our church. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything there for you in the checklist. Thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate everybody being here. I want you to make sure, if this is the first time on Protectors Toolkit Facebook page, that you hit that like button so you can keep getting updates for us. Go back and try to watch some of the other videos and share. Sharing is caring, and I like that you all care about Protectors Toolkit. So please share it with everybody that you think you're an influencer of, that they can get some of this good content too. Become a member of Protectors Toolkit. That speaks for itself. If you want those checklists, if you want the training that goes along with that, if you want to go from good to great in church safety and security, by all means, join Protectors Toolkit. I'm very happy to announce we have a brand new product that we're bringing online. It's virtual risk assessments. If you remember from the last federal grant for churches, you had to have a risk assessment to be able to apply for the grant, and we're now able to give you a virtual risk assessment. If you're a church out there and you want to have a risk assessment done at your church, please contact us, reach out to us, and I will talk you through that. It's going to be very easy, and you'll get a written report that comes right to your church, and it tells you how to go from good to great. It's a great roadmap with where you are and where you want to be, giving you all the solutions in the middle there. And also, but not, I want to remind, thank you for this toolkit, and keep them safe.